Dane and Derek is an uncensored, unfiltered podcast. You can find content warnings in the episode description. Thank you for listening. Yeah, at some point I will visit Colorado, and hopefully we can go to Lucille's.
That'd be so nice.
Yeah, I keep setting time, and then things get in the way, and then I put it off.
Do you think
eventually.
about that Cajun ketchup, Derek?
Do.
Does it visit you in your dreams?
I do, but more than that, I think the French press coffee and beignets call to me.
Also
And I don't really like sugar that much, but those two things call me often. Also, I've had like maybe half of the things on the menu, and I kind of want to try everything else on the menu.
You're braver than me. I just get farmer's eggs every time.
I haven't had farmer's eggs ever from there, and I really want to do that.
It's everything on the menu in one mash.
Maybe that's the hack.
That's the answer.
Well, actually, what we're talking about pre-intro the show actually kind of ties into today's episode, which
leave it in.
Listening, this is the Dane and Derek show. We're back with our great friend Will Cordell. I'm Derek. And,
I'm Dane. Say hi, Will.
That's Dane. Say hi, Will.
Hello.
And that's Will, our science buddy, who does cool stuff and does awesome things and is really funny. One of the funniest people I know. But recipes and good food. That's something that we did a lot in high school, and something that we still do a lot of, and something that we fondly talk about, your legendary pizzas.
Yeah, I will say this. Will is one of the best home cooks I know, for sure.
Well, thank you.
He is what I strive to be as a home cook.
Same.
For sure.
There is an effortlessness as well as a seemingly level of just like outward, I know what I want to try to do with this, and you just kind of do it. It's magic. Pure magic.
I like making your life hard in the kitchen. So
I like watching you in the kitchen, just like observing how you make the pizza, because like you make such a particular crust with the pizza that I don't know how to describe it, but it's some of the best crust I've had, and I love eating crust, which is it's a statement, but yeah.
Yeah, I think for me at least, because mostly working just with like a regular oven that most people have can go up to like 500 or 550. I kind of just go with what's referred to as like the bar style pizza, where you're just rolling out the crust as thin as you can possibly get it, and then just putting toppings, as close to the edges you're comfortable with without causing a fire in your house.
That's a great way to describe it. But yeah, what are some favorite recipes?
A new one, actually, that I just started this week that my roommate told me about was Japanese udon noodles. So he's got a wok that's really nice, but the way you do it, you can put in whatever vegetable or meat you want. I chose to do it vegetarian, but the base of it is a stick of butter, 2 heads of garlic, and the secret sauce, which is dashi stock powder that you put directly into it. You then sort of fry that until the garlic is golden, and then you toss all your noodles in it, and you can fry whatever veggies you want with it, and that is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah.
When did you start cooking, Will?
I think when I started cooking is probably middle school, when I was tired of my dad burning dinner. To this day, we still joke that whenever he's making burgers, he's making hockey pucks for everyone.
Wow.
So, yeah, I guess... Because, I remember you... Like, the first time eating pizza at your place was, like, freshman year of high school. So, I was like, when did you start? That is pretty young for you to, like, actually be making, like, meals. Because, like, I mean, like, I started... air quotes cooking, but like that just meant I just learned how to boil pasta, like
don't get me wrong, I was still back I would still make me lunches probably up until the end of middle school, and after that was really when it started like cooking on my own time.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Because like I didn't start like cooking to like make the food taste good until college, probably. Um, but that's because I was lucky enough that my mom was a pretty good cook. So,
She was very
um,
good.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I say for me it was after college. Once I had money to buy actual groceries. Uh, uh
Makes sense.
yeah. But yeah, I mean I feel like prior to college, yeah, knowing how to cook pasta, a lot of just salted pasta I ate in college. Uh, um,
Yeah.
and knowing how to cook rice in a rice cooker was the other thing I knew how to do. So a lot of salted rice. Uh,
I think
but
there's a lot of things you can do with, your starch base, whether that being pasta or rice, and then just very simple
Mhm.
things you can add on top of it. So
Mm.
for me, a relatively cheap meal that I do sometimes with rice is you cook and season your rice, with a little bit of sugar, salt, and rice vinegar, and then on top, it was a dish that I had at a ramen restaurant in Boston, but I just made it easier. You can just effectively cook some bacon and then season it with soy sauce, ginger, and garlic. You put that on top of some scallions and a fried egg, and that's a meal. So that's really easy.
Wow, that sounds
That does sound
delicious.
good.
And
Huh.
then for like pasta, if you wanted to just make it a little better than sort of salted pasta, you can just cook a couple cherry tomatoes in a pan with a little bit of olive oil, and then you just throw your pasta in there, and you can toss it with a little bit of salt and pepper, and it's a really easy, very creamy sauce actually if you emulsify it with like a little bit of butter as well.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've done that one. See, you guys are I'm as of recording right now, I haven't eaten yet today. So I oh, this is gonna be a tough conversation for me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll probably eat right after this.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, I haven't eaten either, but I also haven't eaten since 2 days ago.
What, Derek?
Uh,
What the fuck?
Are you doing some
I
intermittent fasting, bud, or are you just
that, but also like I've learned that if I don't eat before like 8 o'clock at night, I get like really sick and I can't like go to bed. So I was working
don't
late on some
eat
projects.
before 8 o'clock?
Don't eat
Wait.
before. No,
So
sorry. If
you
I don't eat, if I eat after like 8 o'clock.
I
Oh,
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
yeah. If I eat too late in the day, and that's what happened was I just was busy working. I like bought groceries, so I had the intention of cooking. I just didn't get around to it, and by the time I realized it was 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I was like, oh, I should just go to bed, and then I'll eat breakfast. I'll make some cereal.
I've had days like that in the lab where you're so busy and focused on something you just kind of forget to eat lunch, and you just have
Yeah.
a quick dinner and then go to sleep. But I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't think I've gone two days without eating. I would probably die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, you are both stronger than me. I do not function super well if I don't eat pretty regularly.
Well, Dane, I think you probably have a particularly uh, unique view of what you need to eat based on the diet you have to maintain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's that. And mm, it's tricky. It's tough to um not get hungry quickly.
Yeah.
Because I think I've gone over this on the show before, but basically I eat very few carb heavy meals in a week, gluten and starch based meals in particular. Um, like my meals tend to be pretty heavy on like fats and proteins for the bulk of the calories, and then like tons of vegetables and fruits. Which on the one hand is great. And when I eat that way, I feel like way healthier and better because that's what my body needs. But um, if like this morning, if I let's say I ate pretty typical breakfast of mostly fruit and maybe some yogurt or something, like I'll be hungry again by 11 easily. just because like my body will just tear through it, even if it's the right number of calories or whatever. Um, but yeah, and also like I just can't. I think about food way more than I wish I did. It's getting better as I get better at this whole thing, but like the fact that I have to like keep track of calories and the number of carbs I've had and how many carbs I can have in a week, et cetera, et cetera. It's like it's really hard to miss a meal, like literally, just because I've been thinking about it so hard, you know,
Mm.
um, which is just weird. It's a weird way to eat. It's because it's not at all like I used to. Like I used to just eat until I was full and happy, and then move on with my day. Like wait until I was hungry again. But it's strange. Getting older sucks. Um,
I have had fun trying to make recipes that fit your diet, though. That is always fun to figure out.
yeah, yeah, it's a weird challenge because like most of cuisine is starch in a thing. You know, like
Oh yeah, I already described two delicious ones.
oh yeah, absolutely. Um, so the funny thing is I eat like more meat than I used to. So when I get to eat carbs, like it used to be like if I was like really like gunning for like a nice meal at a restaurant, I'd be like, maybe I'll get a steak or something, you know. And now I'm like,
Now it's the
give me the
opposite.
yeah, I'm like, give me the best starch you have, you know, like just like and make it vegetarian. If you bring me any cut of meat, I will throw that plate back at your face. Um,
It's kind of hilarious.
Huh.
yeah, yeah,
So
like I
no
went.
Korean barbecue, huh?
No, God, no. Like I went to an Italian place with Gracie over the weekend and had pasta for the first time in like a hot minute, and I was like, "This is the best fucking thing I've ever had." Um, you know, and it was just pasta, like handmade pasta in a vodka sauce, like no big deal, but just changes what's like tastes really really good. Um,
Yeah.
and I will say, I don't know how much you guys know about how much like sugar is in American food in particular. Um,
Oh,
but
it's a
like
lot.
yeah, it's a lot, but like I can taste it now in a way I couldn't before.
Oh
Well,
Um,
yeah,
man.
we've certainly become desensitized to the sugars, the artificial sweeteners, and all those things.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I can't remember. It was oh, Gracie got McDonald's for some reason, and I was just fucking curious. Like I was
Uh-huh.
like a sip of a Coke isn't gonna kill me, right? Like and I tried it, and I got like it was like I was
Yeah.
over like literally like I was overwhelmed. Um,
It's definitely saccharine. Like it's just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah. I yeah, like there's a reason why the only soda I can really drink is ginger beer.
well, yeah, because
Uh
there's all that kick to it if you get a real ginger beer, you know.
right, yeah, there's that spice. It's not so like syrupy like a Coke or a Pepsi. Um
Yeah, but it was like it was. I was curious, so I also tried the bun of her burger, and I was like,
oh,
this tastes like cake. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
was like,
weirdly sweet.
yeah, I was like, this
huh.
is I do not like this. Oh, the other one that got me is when I was flying back from Florida, I had a layover in Atlanta, like a long layover, like a 4 hour layover, and
Ooh,
so I went and
fun.
got food somewhere, and I was just like, I can have iced tea at like a restaurant. So I was like,
Oh, you had some sweet tea.
oh God, I forgot, I fucking forgot, and so I didn't say unsweetened,
Yeah.
and so they bring me the sweet tea, and it looks like normal iced tea, and I
Took a
tried
gulp.
it. I took a huge gulp, and then I thought I was gonna be sick, and the waitress hadn't even like fully walked away. I felt so bad because I knew I made like this horrible face. Um, yeah,
Oh man.
I I think that might be my literal least favorite, like little pet peeve, least favorite thing about the South, which is just I don't like their sweet tea deal. I don't like it. I don't like that. That's the default.
I mean, you have that to counter what is sometimes heavier or saltier foods. So it sort of refreshes the palate in a way.
Does it? Does it though?
It does.
It feels like I'm drinking maple syrup.
Again, to a person who's had their entire life, as clearly has been shown by you, and then you're switching between that and something fairly hearty. first thing that comes to mind is shrimp and grits. Oh, that would be really good with iced tea.
Huh.
Well, with
I've
plain
never
iced
had
tea,
grits.
yeah, that sounds great. Like, yeah, no.
Huh.
It might kill me
Yeah.
quickly, but like Southern food on the whole is love it. Like it's so good. It's not that's not the problem.
Huh.
Yeah, I had gone to New Orleans recently.
Oh, I
I'd
want to
gotten
go there
COVID
so
from
bad.
it. But every day, uh, I just went and got a different po' boy from around the area. It's just so
Oh,
good.
Hell yeah. That's such a
oh
good
man.
idea.
I love a good po' boy, and I really want to go to New Orleans just for the food. Every now and then I watch that movie Chef, and I
Oh yeah,
just like cry over how much I want a Cubano sandwich. And then
I'll
I
make you one, Derek, next time you're in
oh,
Colorado.
there we go.
Oof,
I'll
that
buy
does sound
all the
good.
ingredients. We'll have a feast.
That's fine.
A feast of
Yeah.
champions.
I
I
will.
think
Oh, sorry,
oh
Derek.
no,
Sorry.
you go, Dane.
Oh, I was just thinking like, so I got back from Iceland pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I ate really good food there. But that's because we just went to good restaurants. Um, their cultural food leaves something to be desired. I will say.
Well,
Um,
please describe it to us, Dane.
fermented shark.
Ah, okay. I was
Oh,
only aware of that being a Swedish thing, so the fermented fish stuff,
Yeah.
smoked sport and
interesting.
all that.
Um, or their fish mash on toast.
Mm,
Um,
mm. The avocado toast of the Icelands.
yeah, yeah, just a lot of like really strong fish. They have like a pretty good tradition with lamb, and if you like dense breads, also very good. But like, it's like this is not a culinary capital. Like that's fine.
It's hearty food.
It's hearty food, and also very clearly like, how can we make this food last as long as we possibly can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make it taste like something, anything, you know. Um, yeah,
Huh.
I will also say that I did have German food also leaves a little something to be desired. It's just like stock
Shots
big,
fired.
yes, shots fired. Just giving like, you'll find really good food there, and like schnitzel is good, but again, it's like it's nice hearty breads. Uh, beer is great there. Um,
Yeah, my roommate Zach spent like a few weeks in Germany, and he talked about how one of the best meals he had was like a kebab late at night in Germany. So
yeah,
keep an eye out for people with kebabs.
Oh, we're going to the pubs. We
yeah,
have time
oh
for it.
yeah. I will
Yeah.
say it's in the same way that like if you're in the American Southwest, your Latinx food is just going to get better.
Yeah,
Um, like in Germany, you can find great French and Italian food, like really good. Um, just because it's right fucking there, like
Yeah.
and also people are close enough that they can tell the difference.
Get a
Um,
real croissant.
yeah. So like when you're over there, will like go find a good Italian place. Go find like you'll be able to. It'll be great.
I'll take a peek around. My boss
Mm.
was. We were both trying to find apartments at the same time, and my boss shot me a message after I showed him where I was going. He's like, "Oh, there's a nice sushi place down the road that we should go to." And I'm like, "We're in Germany, dude. Why do you want to get sushi?
Yeah.
All these other options.
I will say, do not try the Latin food.
Don't even
Don't
bother."
don't fuck with
I
that. The
I mean,
Japanese stuff, maybe, but
being from Colorado and Wisconsin, I haven't exactly had good Latin food anyway.
Yeah,
you can get
whenever
really good Latin food in Denver if you go.
yeah.
I don't think I've had it though.
Denver's pretty like Colorado is pretty good. I know that there's a war between New Mexico and Colorado for who has the better Mexican food
Green
and like
chili
Latin
is the
food.
big.
It's
And the
yeah,
green
I know
chili
of the green
debate. Yeah.
chili stuff, but like
Yeah, the green chili war is in full swing now.
that's not Latinx in my mind.
No, yeah,
No.
I've had more good stuff when I was down in living in Durango,
Yeah.
That I would believe. Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
but that was just like street food, And also just like some of the Native American food down there, so fucking good. I miss fry bread every goddamn day. I
What's
miss
fry
it.
bread?
It's
Share with the
it's
class.
So good.
it's just uh I believe in their case it's no, it's not a Navajo tradition. But it's just it might be a Navajo. I can't remember exactly which one I had, but they in the Four Corners area, the native folk have a tradition of fried bread. It varies between the tribes and whatnot. Everybody's grandma has the best recipe, of course. Um, and it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's fried bread. Um, I don't know exactly how they make it, but it's different than anything else I've ever had. And it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. And you can like put, green chili and carnitas on it and it's fucking great. You can cover it in cinnamon sugar and it's also fucking great, right? Like, and you cannot get it in like most, I don't know where to get it anymore. Like,
LA.
probably, but that's because LA is one of the
LA.
biggest cities in the world, right? Like,
Yeah.
you could definitely get it there, but like, I don't know where to get it now, and I
Yeah.
am routinely furious about that
These
fact.
look almost like savory beignets. They look a little denser.
Yeah, yeah, it's in the beignet tradition. It's in the sopapilla tradition. It's in
What
the
if
it's also in the donut tradition. It's the fried bread, right? It's just theirs, and
Bad on
it's
carbs.
super fucking good. And sometimes some of the music students who were native would just show up with just bags of it because their grandmother just was on a tear over the weekend, was just like, please take it, get rid of it, we have too much, and I was like, fuck yes. And then I'd go home and I'd eat that like every day for a week and it was the fucking greatest. And now that part of my life is over.
We'll make a road trip down there, Dane.
God,
To Durango. I do remember making that road trip.
it's a nice drive as far as drives go.
Yeah.
There's one canyon in mind that is very pretty going down, where you're
Wolf
coming
Creek,
over the peak of
probably.
the hill and you're kind of looking over everything. That is gorgeous. Rest of it, quite boring.
Yeah, well, that's most road trips.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, road trips are fun. I've been itching to drive long, as of late, but I don't know.
After taking a 14-hour drive to Colorado and back, I would not recommend. But you do you. But
I did an 18er to
gross.
Portland.
Oh wow, you have me beat,
Over-
Dane. I did
Yeah.
a 17 from Ohio to Colorado.
Oof.
Also
Um,
gross.
Yeah,
At
and that
least,
was
yeah.
on day 2 where I did another 17 from Boston to Ohio.
Gross.
Damn.
Yeah, it was bad. In that old car too.
Oh, fucking.
I'm glad you lived.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad you have a new car.
Yeah, me too. um, but going back to food, I think the big thing for me that got me back into cooking was when I got incredibly homesick being away from Colorado. And just kind of being in a place where like I didn't have access to get any of like the comfort foods I grew up with. And so I learned how to cook those while I was away. And since moving to LA and having a lot more access to those foods, I've noticed I not only cook them less, but when I do cook them, I it's almost always because I know there's going to be people over, which I thought was interesting. Whether it's
what's your go-to comfort thing?
my go-to comfort thing, it's probably the easiest meal I make. It's Spam fried rice with eggs, with scrambled eggs.
Sounds good.
And then the other thing I make is like I'll make like a soup dish. It's called sinigang. It's like got okra, pork, a sour tamarind soup base, onions, tomatoes, and taro or daikon root in it. And that is like one of those things where like when I make it, it's like it feeds like 16 people. So it's really hard to store as a result, but it's like a really great like sour thing to go with whatever sweets and savory things people bring to like a potluck. Those are like my two big recipes. Otherwise, I don't know. As of late, I got really into canned sardines when I moved out here. Um, and I've discovered the beauty that is canned sardines and steamed rice with a seaweed. Um,
Because there's good tinned fish out there, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, fish is incredible out here. Like I love getting like raw fish and fried fish, all kinds of fish. Like I love eating fish out here. It is so good. Taking advantage of it before they're all gone in 2028. Um, rest and rip, I guess. But also, uh, yeah, there's also a fish market out here that I've been meaning to go to. Um, like in the
I bet
harbor
that would
area.
be an experience.
Yeah, I've really wanted to go and just like get some nice like sushi grade fish and try to make some like sashimi or something. But I've been saying that for 4 years and I've yet to do it.
What about you, Will? Do you have comfort recipes anymore, or is the comfort in the like more experimentation stuff?
I think the comfort recipe for me is probably red sauce or pesto. It's one of the
Mm.
two things I make with
Ooh,
Becca and Bill. Um, so every time I go back to Colorado, they show me all the basil and all the tomatoes they make. And so Becca usually I help make the pesto, but I'm the final taste tester. And then Herbert has become the sorry, Herbert's my father. Becca's my mother. Herbert has become the red sauce man. Becca's the pesto woman.
Fair enough.
it sounds
Yeah.
like a fun superhero family combo.
But yeah, pesto is super easy to make, and it's just like pine nuts, garlic, basil, Parmesan cheese, salt, and olive oil, and you just blitz it.
Really?
So
That's it?
yeah, it's really good.
Hmm.
Holy
And so
shit.
red
Yeah.
sauce, I make one particular version I call the harlot sauce. It's just very spicy.
Mhm.
It is garlic, onions, a lot of crushed red pepper, tomatoes, and red wine. And that's pretty much it. And then you just blend it.
Mm,
Mm.
yum. I
So,
mean,
but that goes good on anything, whether
yeah.
it's pizza, pasta. I haven't tried it on rice.
Do you drink it?
I have not. It's the pesto is not very liquid. The red sauce is kind of sludge, so I don't think I would drink it.
Fair, fair, fair. Dane, what about you? Comfort foods? Comfort things?
uh, Before I had to change to the diet, it was definitely like I loved making like ramen or a couple different types of pastas. Um, Usually like that with like tomato and mozzarella, and then I'd love to do like fried chicken and waffles.
Delish.
Yeah,
Oh,
and a lot of those things I still love, but I eat them very, very sparingly these days. Also, just waffles and crepes and things like that in general were other favorites. Um, Now, uh, eating is not as much fun these days.
oh.
I do a steak and asparagus dish pretty regularly. That's pretty good. Also, I have a greater appreciation for just individual uh, things that are just really good on their own. Like fresh good mozzarella cheese is just fucking good, and
Oh,
I really
yeah.
like it. And like blueberries are
Mm.
my fucking friend, and they I eat those all the time. So it's like weird and a little different. This isn't a dish I make, but my close friend and roommate Kristen figured out how to make biscuits um with
Ooh.
almond flour that are just as fluffy as like they're not that far off from the Lucille's biscuit. And she also figured out how to do like a biscuits and gravy without normal flour in the gravy. And anytime she makes that, I am very, very happy because usually she overmakes the biscuits and I get to have those for breakfast for a few days. So,
Very nice.
You
yeah.
should share that almond flour biscuit recipe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. I
Yeah.
think she uses just a little bit of Like I think it's like an eighth or a quarter cup of normal flour just to get the
You need something to bind it all together.
yeah, just to bind it. But like when you do that, like the carb level is lower than some pieces of fruit. So
So,
you
Dane,
know,
what I had done recently when I had a bunch of friends over,
mm.
unfortunately not you, we had waffles, and then I made Japanese fried chicken,
Oh
um,
damn,
which is smaller pieces of, it can be chicken thigh or chicken breast, but it's usually thigh, that's cut up and then briefly marinated in sake, soy sauce, and ginger, and then you just toss it in cornstarch, potato starch, and fry it. It's very good.
nice. That
Oh
does sound
man,
really good. I recently figured out how to do butter chicken and
Ah,
lamb curd.
yes,
Um, that shit is super good.
very
Makes a
nice.
mess of the kitchen though.
it does. I've never been very good with balancing Indian spices, cardamom, cumin, and uh, yeah, I don't know what it is
You
when
go
I'm making butter
overboard
chicken.
on
I can't do
something?
it. It just never tastes like how I think it should taste. I don't know.
Mm. Do you
And
not
maybe
go?
that's
Maybe
stereotypical, butter chicken from an Indian restaurant, but that is, that's how I assume it's supposed to be.
yeah. Maybe I don't know. I wonder if you're not going hard enough. Like that was
Could
the
be.
thing that I learned is that like I have to like go harder on the spices with those two dishes than I ever think I would. Um,
Huh.
but
Interesting.
all that aside,
For the
God,
first
I'm
time.
hungry.
Oh, what was that?
God, I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. And I will say, for the first time in my life, I had chicken and waffles
What?
the other week. Yeah, I growing up, I was not much of a waffle person, and I always thought the idea of eating like something savory on something that normally goes with syrup was weird. But then I was like, oh, I kind of get it. Like you put honey on hot chicken to like cut it a bit or like mix it, and then I was like, I guess I'll try chicken and waffles because I've never done it, and everyone talks about how good it is. Um, it's sure enough, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I would do
Yeah,
it again. 10
yeah,
out of 10.
yeah.
Um, it's like a nice, sweet, savory, salty, and in my case, spicy combo wombo. And sometimes you want it all.
So,
Yeah.
Dane, there's your
Mm.
justification for sweet tea.
For the life of me, I still don't see it, but sure.
I, as someone that drinks a lot of tea, I don't like sweet tea purely because I like the bitterness of regular tea.
Same.
And I think that's where it gets me. But also the same goes for coffee. I make my coffee extra black because I like it. I like that bitterness.
Unpopular opinion. I very much dislike coffee.
That's
Oh, I
great.
hate coffee personally.
Good for the both of you, honestly. Like I I'm like finally at a point where I'm considering or I'm like coming to the end of my coffee making phase. I like got into the whole like grinding and like having the temperature at the water, and now I don't care. I'm at the point where I'm considering getting flash frozen coffee cubes that are
Oh
decaf.
yeah, yeah. No,
Um
do that.
because I'd have no desire to brew a cup of coffee anymore. Um
Fair.
and yeah. Dane, I will bring you some loose leaf tea next time we hang out.
Oh, please, yeah.
And
So good.
because I have a ton of loose leaf tea that I am not able to sip through because I'm primarily just drink water these days. I stopped drinking soda after college, and except with the exception of ginger beer, because it's the one drink I can go to the bar and be like, I'll have a Moscow Mule straight, and then they'll look at me funny and then hand me a ginger beer.
With a little lime.
Yeah, with a little lime, and it's great. Or I'll get like Jamaican ginger beer. That's
That's a lot spicier for sure.
yeah,
Mm,
and it's funny because
big
Jamaican
fan.
ginger beer is not in the soda section at my grocery store. It's in the spice section, like the hot sauce section on the bottom shelf in the back. You
Weird.
have to like crawl on all fours and reach and get it because it's just that hot. Um, that stuff's
Weird.
good.
Mm.
That stuff is what I would call premium. Uh, but I don't know. Real quick before we wrap up, how do you two feel about like Beyond and Impossible meats? Because I was at the store yesterday, and chicken was significantly more expensive than Beyond Meat for a pound. It might just be a thing that's happening right now. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. So I got Beyond Meat, and I like Beyond Meat and Impossible Meat. Whenever there's
Will
an option to get it out here, I get it.
Will has more opinions than me, so I'm gonna say my piece real quick. Will also has interesting things to say about it. But
Yeah, I'm curious.
long story short for me is uh, it's typically pretty carb heavy, so it
Mm,
does me no good. Um, and so it's not a good option for me.
interesting.
Um,
Good to know.
though I really wish it was.
Mm,
Um, because before all of this dietary stuff, I was starting to toy with the idea of vegetarianism, in particular, as like just probably a good for one's health and also good for the environment and animal cruelty and whatnot. And then I got this dietary restriction, and suddenly it was like, oh shit. Um, like the idea of doing a meatless version of this is really hard to imagine, honestly. So,
yeah.
um, you tell me when that lab grown meat shows up, and if there's a like impossible burger based off of not super starch heavy
Yeah.
stuff, I am there for it though.
Will do.
Um, but Will, you literally worked on some of this stuff.
Oh my God! Really?
I wouldn't say work diet literally, but the work that I do is very tangentially related to lab grown meats. So,
Oh, cool.
just a quick comment on what Dane is saying. I think there is some criticism of alternative meats being similar or worse in terms of calories and nutritional
Mm,
content, and that is certainly a concern. So,
yeah.
I think at the moment the purpose of Impossible Foods and beyond is trying to simulate meat and provide those calories as an alternative to cruelty, uh, based meat production, which is totally viable. And personally, I have no preference between Impossible and regular meat. But I guess kind of as a background for thinking about alternative proteins as a field is very interesting to me because my research is in fermentation science. So the idea of taking
Okay.
a small microbe of some kind and making a product out of it. So for me, that's using a microbe referred to as E. coli. There are many different kinds of E. coli. Some are pathogens, some are not. We're using one that is not a pathogen to make biofuels. Um, so sometimes you use an organism to make a product, but sometimes that organism in itself is the product. So there's a couple different companies that are actually, one of which is starting up in Boulder, where the cell biomass, the physical growing of the cell itself, is the product, and that is the protein. So Dane, for you as an alternative that'll be coming out soon in Boulder, is a company called Meaty. They use a filamentous fungi, which is effectively a fungus that grows in long rods,
Mm-hmm.
that can be extruded in such a way that makes protein fibers, quotation marks, that supposedly mimics steak and chicken protein fibers fairly well. I have not tried it personally, but it is available in some grocery stores, or not grocery stores, excuse me, restaurants.
See,
So,
that sounds very promising to me because like
Yeah.
mushrooms are well within my dietary um
so yeah,
Oh,
realm.
great.
If it's similar enough to other fungi and it's like high on protein, low on carbohydrates, that's fucking great. I would love that. I would
I mean,
love that.
even if it isn't, I like mushrooms. You can cook mushrooms in ways that are very similar to meat. So I think for you, Dane, that is the alternative that is, I think, most promising for your kind of diet.
Yeah.
Impossible Foods, and I think this is where Dane's criticism comes in, approaches it in a completely different way. They use microbes to produce part of their alternative meat. This is the heme protein that they talk a lot about, so it's the red component or the iron
Mm.
component of the food, and that's added in purely to give you first color, and then also the interactions that happens with other proteins, fats, amino acids that give you sort of these complex flavors that you normally see in meat itself, and that's kind of why meat bleeds. It's not blood; it's your heme, it's your components of the meat that make it red. And so that has both that is primarily in there, for my mind, for flavor and appeal to transition people away from traditional meat sources.
Which is totally great. That's not my problem. The problem just comes in from like what it's the for lack of a better term, the meat of it actually is.
Yeah.
Because the main components, I believe, are soy protein and then also coconut fat. But I'm sure that was just me reading about this a while ago. I'm sure they have some proprietary mixture to approximate the appropriate taste, texture, and all those things. But yes, there are starch components in it as binding agents, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not too far from like say a Morning Star, like veggie patty.
Morning Star, yeah, is like your rice and bean based patties. So it's sort of this realm of plant based foods.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's terribly far from it, but it's more Morning Star and vegetarian burgers are just their own thing at this point.
Gotcha.
What separates it is Impossible Foods and Beyond and all of them attempting to simulate meat. Because people who are vegetarians are going to look for the Morning Star thing.
Yeah.
People who are currently eat meat but are willing to try new things are going to try Impossible.
Yeah, that's okay. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know if we've talked about it because by the time you all met me, I was eating meat, but I grew up vegetarian until I was 14, and so having
do you have to wean back onto protein after that?
Yeah, basically, we had to slowly introduce it over the course of like a year because my dad got a job at a meat company, and that's what killed the vegetarianism in our family. But for a long time, like Morning Star was like what I expected from a lot of burgers, and not getting that flavor was always a disappointment. But, I'm curious now that I know that how different they are and like how they're made. I'll be curious to kind of see where it goes. That was really interesting, Will. Thank you for sharing that. And Dane,
of course.
One day we will find a great fungi mushroom meat substitute for your soul.
I don't care where it. I mean, I actually do care. I would prefer it to come from my meat to come from a lab rather than an animal. But until then, I can't make myself sick all the time. So
yeah, no, I don't blame you. I mean, being sick all the time sucks. Like the first time I had real milk was in college, and I didn't realize that I was lactose intolerant because I grew up with alternative milks because my mom and my dad are lactose intolerant, I believe. So I just didn't have that exposure really. So I totally get the whole not wanting to be sick from eating food because it sucks.
So Dane Salt has meaty on their menu, which is a restaurant in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, I know Salt. All right, worth giving it a shot.
There you go, Salt. I don't think is that a new restaurant? I don't think I've been there.
It's always been a Pearl Street.
Yeah, it's been there a while now.
Where on Pearl?
Mall, right? Like
West End.
Yeah, West End off the mall. Although the mall's gotten pretty extended at this point.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've probably been there then.
Not unlikely.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Yeah, we are definitely at time. And
definitely.
This was a pleasure having you on the show. Really glad to catch up with you. Let's do this again soon, and you'll have to tell us about Germany when you get back.
Of course. Yeah. Let me know whenever you guys want to chat. Happy to make some time.
Yeah. And Dane, you should go eat.
we should all eat too. I'm starving.
All three of us need to go eat.
Yeah.
We've been talking about food for 45 minutes.
I know.
Hungry.
Alrighty, we're gonna go eat. The rest of you should go eat as well.
Unless you were eating while you were, don't overeat. Don't make yourself sick.
Don't do that.
If you're hungry, go eat.
Yeah. Otherwise, goodbye. Say goodbye, Will.
Goodbye.